All right. So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first demo day. My name is Marco.
My name is Devanshi.
And I'm Charlie.
While we wait for the remaining attendees to settle in, we wanted to share a little bit more about what we do here at the Claremont Accelerator with you guys. So you can see here, we're the first student-run accelerator in the history of the Claremont colleges. And we help student entrepreneurs scale their ventures by providing them with mainly three different things. The first one is equity-free capital. As of now, we've raised more than $20,000, and we've given most of this directly to student founders. The second thing that we provide is alumni mentorship. In these last few weeks, we put together a network of more than 20 different mentors, which include current CTOs, CEOs, and successful startup founders. The last thing that we provide them is that we help them obtain additional manpower. We help them find the right talent that they need to scale their ventures from within the Claremont colleges. As a matter of fact, we have some of our student operators sitting over there. And on top of this, we have recently secured 2 different partnerships. The first one with Amazon Web Services. Starting next semester, we'll be providing free cloud credits to the startups in our portfolio. And the second partnership is with Cooley and Cameron in particular, who host legal office hours on campus every Friday and is providing free legal advice to the startups in our portfolio and beyond.
Yeah, so our first cohort has just run through this semester, and there you see them here. And we're looking to find our next cohort. So if you are a student building something, or if you know a student building something, please send them our way. For next semester, we have applications open already, and they're going to close at the end of this semester, December 15th. So we'd love to meet with you and hear about what you're doing. For next semester, we're just going to double down on what we've done already. So more funding, a greater network of mentorship. And then at our next demo day, we're going to invite angel investors and people from VCs to come help you support you after you graduate from our program.
We've had a fantastic semester. We kicked off with applications from across the Claremont colleges. We've had a brilliant speaker series, including one session held by a general partner from Upfront Ventures, Nick Kim, and which is LA's biggest and most prolific venture capital firm, as well as another one held by our wonderful friend and legal counsel, Cameron, who has been an instrumental part of our success this semester. Every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. at the Hive, he has been there to support not just the Claremont Accelerator, but the broader Claremont community. And if you guys ever have any legal questions, any even just conversations to have, feel free to join us. These are our open office hours, and he's such an incredible person. So we are really, really grateful to him for his support.
Yeah, and so just before we get started, we want to say a quick thank you to everyone mentioned here. These people have been in our speaker series. They've joined our mentorship group. And in particular, we wanted to thank Ron, Professor Filson, and Fred for the support you guys have given us. It's been instrumental. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from each of the startups in our program. Each startup will have 10 minutes to be on stage. They will give a 3 to 5 minute pitch, followed by a question and answer session. As soon as they are done pitching, feel free to raise your hand and ask any questions you may have. There will be a microphone brought to you. And for those of us joining us on Zoom today, if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand again via that emoji and drop your question in the chat, and we can ask it on your behalf.
Yeah, and you've all got feedback forms and a page for notes. So if you have anything that you want to say, please share it. A little help goes a long way for these guys. And then after we're done here, we're just going to have snacks and drinks outside. We'd love if you'd stick around and just get to talk to us. Thank you. Okay, so we've had enough talking. We're going to go ahead and get into our startups. So our first startup is Glam Up, and Nicole will come down here. She's a senior from CMC, and she's doing an AI beauty app. So Nicole, if you want to come down, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Let's give her a warm welcome, guys.
Hi guys, my name is Nicole. I'm a senior at CMC. Okay. So this is my startup. It's called Glam Up. I am the co-founder for it. Another person who is my co-founder, he's actually not from CMC, but I'll get into it later on. But this is an AI beauty app. So we have facial scans, glow guide, color analysis, facial analysis, product recommendations, all through facial scanning technologies. So whatever you do on the app, you have to take a selfie or upload a picture of yourself. Then the AI will proceed to scan your face and give you all of these analysis. Here are some demos. These are actually our paywall videos before they have to pay for our app. We do a weekly subscription model, and you can also upgrade and things like that. So that's kind of what you're gonna get from the app. Okay, so when it comes to co-founders, my co-founder is Aaron. He was in YC back in 2021, and then he also was at HF0 Hacker House in Silicon Valley in 2024. He recently got acquired for his YC company, and he's a full stack engineer. He dropped out at University of Waterloo at 20. For me, I am a senior in CMC. I used to work at TikTok for algorithms and growth hacks. And I was also a podcast host, and I was working with the team with Mr. Beast and other YouTubers. Yeah, and I'm just all things social media, and I handle most of the operations and the distributions of the company. Here's a little timeline of our growth. So in March, that's when the idea was born. I had a call with my co-founder, and we decided to launch the app within 2 weeks of the talk. So it was April. In May 1st, we got our first user. In June, we were just trying to figure out what to do for AI consumer app space, since it's a really new business model that we're entering in. In July, we were ranked top 31 on the App Store in the US in the lifestyle category. In August, we had 100K downloads and we released version 2.0. So we completely rebranded the app, made it like really pink and cutesy and very like demographic related to like our ideal customers. In September, we got 200K downloads and 4,000 ratings on the US App Store. And our ratings were going up. In October, we blew up on social media and we had 700,000 downloads, and we were ranked number 3 on the US App Store, beating Tinder and Hinge for a couple of days during that time. And in November, I think right now we currently have 900K downloads. We are probably going to reach 1 million downloads in a couple of weeks, and we have around 17K ratings on the App Store now. So our goal right now is we want to really increase retention rate, because our retention rate right now is pretty low. It's more like a single feature consumer app style. So we do want to get our retention rate to 50%, so the LTV is higher. We're also we built an internal system out to help us with distributions and influencers. And a lot of our friends in the AI consumer app space and AI startup space are actually really interested in it. So we might also sell it as a B2B SaaS and create maybe like a holding company for that. And yeah, hopefully we get these things done in the next couple of months. And that's it. We are bootstrapping it, so I don't think we need any funding, but if anyone has any advice or legal advice, I'm an international student. I'm trying to stay here on an O1 visa, so I'm a little confused about that, but if anyone has any advice, I would love to know. And I would say, like, overall, I'm just really grateful for CMC for giving me the time and the energy to pursue this as a full-time student. And thank you for the Startup Accelerator for giving us an opportunity to promote the startup culture in CMC and across the 5 Cs.
Now we'll open up to a quick Q&A. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to raise your hands. Seems like we do have some.
Yeah.
The growth has been insane, but can you elaborate more on the revenue model that you're using?
We do weekly subscriptions. So we have different scans. It ranges from around $8 to $13. Well, actually $6 to $13. So they have to pay weekly for the amount of scans that they choose. They can also upgrade the plans. But I would say most of it is actually through distribution. We focus majorly on TikTok, and the conversion rate on TikTok is actually a lot higher than like Instagram. On Instagram, it's around like 4% on Instagram, and on TikTok, it can be all the way to like 9 to 10%, which is insane for like consumer app space. So I think a lot of it is also like just the marketing aspect of it and how the conversion rate also changes through our distribution strategies.
I have a question on the phone. How did you scale your technology from like 0 to 100,000 downloads to 1 million? How has your tech stack evolved over that period of time?
Our technology didn't change that much. I think with the current AI consumer app space, we focus more on distribution and product second. I do have a really, really talented co-founder. He's a full stack engineer. He built out our first MVP in like the first week. So a lot of credits on him for that. But at the same time, we are constantly improving our product when it comes to the output and UI UX. But I would say we focus on like more of the big swings of like, you know, I think a lot of it will be distribution, to be honest. And I think that's most AI consumer apps right now versus like beforehand.
I guess that makes sense. The follow-up question I have is, if you're bootstrapping this, I assume this is built on some like AWS or Google layer. Your costs may come up if you again go viral and you start seeing 3, 4, 5 million downloads. What's your strategy if that happens? How are you going to scale your costs from that point of view?
Yeah, for sure. So our cost is actually quite low. We use OpenAI and we use different APIs for it, but at the same time, we use a lot of APIs that are ex-YC companies as well. So if we work with like, because I have a YC founder, if we use other like YC companies, we usually get a credit system or the cost is way lower than if we weren't in related to YC.
That's awesome. I work at a YC company, and
Oh my
the
God,
network
that's
is
amazing.
fantastic. And
Yeah.
if you want, I'm Guillermo. Nice to meet you. I have a few immigration attorneys that are my class at CMC. I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you. If you DM me, I'd
Thank
be
you so
more than happy to
much.
put you in touch.
No, I would really appreciate it. I can't see you, but nice meeting you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me go on video here. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Now we can see.
Now you can.
First of all, congrats on the numbers. That's
Thank you.
awesome. My question is, what is your theory about retention? Like, what are you going to change to increase retention, and what insight do you have about the user to try it once and then forget about it?
Yeah, for sure. I think we understand our users a lot and the psychology behind why they want to use our app and like why it's a single feature use. Our retention is more going to be on journals, for example, skincare journals and things like that, where they have to do morning and night routines. So they have to scan their face every single day. We're also going to come up with some free features, but more like learn guides that motivate them to convert. So it also drives the conversion rate up. But the thing is, I think with the space that I'm in right now, a lot of apps that go really viral, they only focus on one single features and one-time use. And that's kind of why we also have this virality. But I think what's different between GlamUp and all the other AI consumer apps is that we're definitely more long-term driven. We don't want to just have a cash grab and just make a bunch of money and only focus on our distribution for growth. We definitely think it's really like way valuable to have the retention up by introducing features like skincare journals and things like that, so people can see their long-term like improvements and brand associations. Yeah.
We probably have time for one more question.
Hi. This is great to see, and it's a really cool space that you're in. I'm curious how you're thinking about B2B. Is that more with retailers, with beauty brands? Where do you see the opportunities there?
Yeah, for sure. So for our B2B SaaS product right now, it's actually an internal system that we use to track attribution for influencer marketing and faceless accounts and all that stuff, everything social media. And that's a problem that like I would say most companies struggle with is attributions. I have a lot of friends who have like 2,000 followers on Instagram, but they get brand deals every single week. And that's very ROI negative for the brands, but they don't care. And at the same time, they can't track attribution. But I don't think we're going to target the large companies first. We have a group of startup founders who are in similar spaces, who all know each other, and we do similar distribution strategies. So we might start from there. All I would say mostly AI startup related stuff. And they do like influencer marketing a lot and focus majorly on like Instagram and TikTok. And this is like a B2B SaaS that hasn't been built out by any other company before. So it would be nice to put them on a monthly subscription. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Up next, we have ArtHub, which is a GitHub for creatives founded by Ian Bain, alongside his team of 6 wonderful student operators. Can we all welcome him on stage?
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out. So this is really fun to see this many people here. A little side note of this, part of this project started in a Dodds class over the summer. So if you decide that this is cool, you can go give Dodds a handshake or a thanks later, because this is part of his work as well. So thanks for coming out, I'm really happy to see you here today. About me, my name's Ian, nice to meet all of you. I'm a philosophy and data science major at CMC. In the past, I was a product management intern at Intuit, a really cool program that I've learned a ton from, and maybe you'll see some of the influences in my deck today. I was a previous design lead at Sous Chef. So Sous Chef was a CMC-founded company that did like consumer food content, and I began as a UX design intern, and then over the course of a year, I ended up being a product design lead where I ran a team of 3 people working on some of their main platforms. I've been the head of Product Space for the last 3 years, so Product Space is sort of like the 5C PM club. And if it means anything to you, I'm also a client purpose developer. There are a couple other people who are working on this project who aren't going to be here today, but I think should be mentioned. So I am on the left. In the middle is Pri. Pri is at University of British Columbia. He was our back-end lead for this project. Post-grad, he's going to be going off to Microsoft to work on ML projects. Jun Hong is on the right. He's at Columbia University, so like the other Columbia. And he is going to Google or Capital One next semester when he graduates. So I was class of 24, so one of the big questions is, why am I still here? Like, what am I doing in Claremont? I took a semester off last fall, and I went to an art school. I made projects like this, so this is an interactive particle simulation. This exact model, which like in real life you can like wave your hand in the air and they change, is going to be shown at a gallery in San Francisco on December 27th. A version of this was selected for showing at the London Science Museum. So I can honestly say that I'm an internationally exhibited fine artist. Pretty cool side hobby. And one thing that I learned on my gap semester is that there are a lot of people in the world who make art. So according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2023, 177 million Americans consumed art, 41 million took the time to learn an art, and then 133 million created some kind of art. Those are like pretty insane numbers. 41 million, that's like the people who learn an art skill. That's the most impressive to me just because of the difficulty it is to like learn something new. So the fact that that many people are investing time to learn something is like really demonstrative of just how much people care about the arts. And something else I saw is that people really don't like the ways and the options they have to learn about the new arts in the world. So today, let's say I'm an artist, I want to show something, or I want to be seen or see new work, right? Like I want to get my stuff in the world, or I want to see new stuff in the world. You have a couple options. You can go to Instagram, Pinterest, Visco, those are like your social options. Or if you want to make a platform or like make a more professional looking website, you can also go to Webflow or Squarespace. I sense that within these platforms, which are not specifically designed for art sharing and usage, there was kind of like a discontent that people had. These were not satisfactory to the needs. And I decided to interview people. I interviewed, me and my team were at 50 artists, both professional and students, and we got some pretty cool observations. So the first is that many artists find it really difficult to find other artists and their work. So it's just hard to find. I literally had to take like 6 months of my life and like go to a different continent to go do it, right? That should be an example of how difficult it is to find new art. often there's really low visibility for new artists trying to get it. So there's these super high barriers of entry, magazines, galleries, museums maybe even, to get your stuff seen. So if you're a new artist, it's really difficult. And sort of as like a side to that, the art communities that exist are like completely dependent on these traditional institutions. So if you want a community, you have to go to a school, you have to go to a museum or a gallery. Like that's kind of like the foundations within this world. And remember, there are a lot of people interested in this world. Schools and institutions have trouble showing student work. So you're an educator at a school that has art students. You want your students to get seen. You really don't have a way, also because of these existing problems. Something that came up a lot is that modern data scraping practices really seriously limit how artists can present their work. So let's say I'm a graphic designer. I need to show my stuff online. By putting my stuff online, my work is going into the very tools that are contributing to the downfall of my craft. So you're sort of in a catch-22. There's no way to get out. And then finally, building portfolios is time-consuming and challenging. So this was the qualitative data we got. We saw that people had a lot of frustration with their current options. And there are other people in the market who have also noticed this and have noticed these trends and tried to create solutions. So New Digital Commune was a platform that tried to make an art sharing app similar to what you're going to see very soon. And they got a lot of traction, and as you can see, basically died immediately. And so what happened here? And as we dug deep and we did our research, we realized in the last 20 years, basically no one has made any product improvements to art sharing and viewing since Zuckerberg pushed his original lines of code forward in Facebook, right? So we decided to make something new. Art Hub is the result of what we've spent the last 6 months working on with my awesome operators, and is a platform designed for art viewing and sharing in communities. So our one-liner, Art Hub is a network of communities for creatives to share their work directly with other artists, experts, galleries, schools, and employers, all free from modern AI. What does that mean? So let's say I get really into like carpentry or something. I want to build a door or a cabinet or a table. What I do is I want to learn about it. I go to Reddit. I go to Discord, right? Like I find these online communities. And by virtue of there being an independent space for that kind of learning, I can get access to people who are interested in that field, who know more than I do, and I can also get seen, right? And this principle has been really successful, and it's why Google paid like $60 million to get a hold of Reddit's data for their training for Gemini, because they know the value of that kind of information in those kind of communities and what they can provide. What are problems? Visibility, seeing, getting seen, right? To have a platform that exists that can facilitate these kind of communities directly oriented towards one singular purpose, painting, drawing, photography, LA-based fashion designers, like whatever you want it to be, could give artists what they need to see and be seen. So if I want to learn about painters in the LA area, we call them clubs. We can go to the LA Painter Club, and you can see everything that those people are making. It is a direct upload system. So in the same way I would post to a Reddit, someone could post to the club of their choice. On the right, you can see the Interaction Design Arts Club. So that's a sort of like a niche group of basically like human-centered design for fine arts. So anyone who's interested in that really niche thing, who wants to see new art or get seen, can go to that club, and they can see and get seen in the exact same ways that I can see and get seen in a carpentry subreddit. That's the concept. You also build your portfolio at the same time. So on the left is an example of what some of my work would look like. And just by interacting with the platform and using the app in the way you would normally, you can build your own working portfolio with your favorite works that you can use to get seen. So that's the concept. Okay. So what? University of the Arts London is the largest arts institution in the world. To put its like cultural effect in the arts world into context, it's what UAL is to the arts world is kind of like what Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and Berkeley would be combined for computer science. It is a 20,000 person art school in London. 40% of the students are international. It is the undisputed champion of undergrad arts. We have people at UAL who want to use this product today. They want to get this into their hands right now for usage at the upcoming semester. One of the caveats and one of our final additions to this product is that they were really worried about this problem with AI. They were like, we had no way to have our students have their work get seen and not have it get scraped. Our solution, and one of the things we're really interested is that we have it so that if students want, every image they upload can be protected by modern AI protection rules. So that the images in our platform cannot be used for processing for a model like Midjourney, or maybe they're even going to be dangerous to those models. So we have state-of-the-art protection. The software we use was made by a group at Chicago. We published it as their PhD project. It's been around for a while. It was supposed to get cracked in 6 weeks. It's been like 18 months and no one has done anything. So really strong base software. And so Interaction Design Arts is actually the group at UAL that wanted to use this platform first. They're the first people that said, yes, we want this for our classroom. So here's generally how this works. A classroom can make their own club. Students can upload their work to that club. What this does for the clubs or in the colleges is a bunch of different things at the same time. So first, they get visibility and like really good free PR. So anyone who's using the platform can go and see these university pages just in their normal day-to-day interaction. People are interested often in checking these out in the same way that people like to go to Harvard and see what people are doing at Harvard, because you want to see what schools are making. And it's interesting to see what's currently going on in the institution and what the best students are putting forward. Again, the AI thing. Protect student work from the downfall of their creative field of choice. So because we have this novel software, this novel process, we can offer kind of protection that companies like Instagram or Visco just would definitionally not be able to have. This is a living document for what each classroom produces. So educators really like that they can go back in time and see everything that was made in their class in that semester. If they want to say, hey, what did my students make in fall 22? They can say, oh, this is my actual document of what my students made in fall 22. And then it's visibility for the students, as their profiles can be seen just by like clicking through these works. So if you select one of these works, as my awesome operator showed you earlier today, you can actually go and check out these students' profiles as well, which means that by getting visibility for the schools, you're also getting visibility for the students. This checks off a lot of boxes from our original presentation. The name ArtHub is kind of a riff on GitHub. So GitHub is a tool that companies, schools, and personal engineers use to show, document, and display their code. It's where you can go to see what people are building right now. It's used, again, by institutions, by individuals, by employers. It's sort of like the one-stop shop for demonstrating your code and what you're building at the moment. There's been a lot of energy and time in the last 20 years spent on DevTools. Partially because there's a lot of money to be made there, partially because engineers understand engineering problems. The idea with this project was sort of to create GitHub for creators. So there's this same concept of having something that can be used for personal usage, for professional usage, for classrooms, but for the creative field, stood out as a serious opportunity of need. So there's been all this time spent on DevTools. Let's spend some time in other areas with literally like 100 million people who are interested. So what's next for this project? Well, remember these two guys that I haven't mentioned a lot? They've been working on our web team. We've been looking at a mobile app so far. This is my personal portfolio website. So if you go to ianbaines.com, that's the exact artwork I showed you earlier. At some point along the way for our process, we realized that when students make their page and they upload, you get to see these kind of works. And we actually have all the data that you would need to make their own portfolio website. So with the bios, descriptions, images, and content that they upload to their page or to clubs, which are then moved to their page, we could just create a portfolio, like a really simplistic portfolio, without them doing any work. Creating portfolios was one of the highest pain points that our students noted. So to be able to just solve this problem for them would be super cool. This is a really long-term goal, as this is going to take a lot of product and engineering work to figure out the details. But this is something we're really excited about. And then today, we're looking for advice, mentorship, more advice, and feedback. Really, we're not looking for funding today. We're not looking to raise a Series A. But like, this is sort of a project of love, and the people who worked on this are all working on it because they enjoy it. And so for today, I'd be really interested to hear what you all think. Comments, questions, things to note, things to point out. So thank you very much.
We only, because we're short on time, we only have time for one question for Ian, but feel free to ask him questions after we're done.
All right, so the important, to me, the point you made is the software that protects against AI, right? And I think you mentioned that Instagram and Pinterest couldn't use that. Why can't they deploy the same thing and then just come up with a Pinterest EDU product or something for this target market?
Yeah, so I mean, for specifically Instagram wants to create, I mean, the point isn't necessarily just data scraping, the point is what's done with the data that you then scrape. So Instagram Meta has an incentive to use those images for their own modeling. So if you upload something to Instagram, it's most likely going to get put into the image generation models, which contribute to the same process. You can sometimes opt out. It's a really difficult process. It's a really lengthy process, and it's not something that would be feasible for a long-term project like posting every artwork you've ever made. It's also questionable to the extent of how much you're actually getting out. So it is antithetical to Instagram and Pinterest business needs to implement some kind of software like this. Technically they could, but it's not in their motives or what they're working on right now.
All right. Next, we're gonna have Albert come up. He's at Stag. Albert, if you want to make your way up. So Stag is an AI-powered platform, and it's essentially designed for hedge fund treasury management. But I'll let Albert show you a little bit more about that. So Albert, come take it away.
Hello. I'm Albert, co-founder and CTO of Stag. We are a software as a service platform that automates back office workflows for hedge funds, starting with collateral management. My co-founder Sinclair isn't able to make it today, but he recorded a demo of a product that we had built for a client, which I will be playing later today. And Sinclair and I bring pretty extensive experience in both technology and finance. Previously, I worked at Beach Point Capital Management and worked on tools that saved the firm over $100,000 each year. Sinclair and I already have a track record of building software products for firms in the financial services sector. The total AUM of our previous clients is over $23 billion. And these were pretty disparate products, but they all had a common theme, which is leveraging cloud computing, storage, and AI to automate workflows across firms. But we wanted to kind of narrow down our scope and identify a problem and a product solution. And through leveraging our previous client base, we were able to talk to over 30 industry professionals within the financial services sector. And these were portfolio managers, COOs, operating staff, and prime broker consultants. And they all identified one particular huge pain point within the hedge fund industry, which was treasury management. So when hedge funds manage or allocate capital across different financial assets to diversify their investments, they're naturally exposed to different counterparties like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Northern Trust, BofA, who broker all these different types of transactions. And each one of these counterparties have different varying interpretations of regulations around investing in financial assets. And they also have different terms and conditions when it comes to levered transactions, which is a very commonplace among hedge funds. So every day, each counterparty will have all these new documents containing all the different financial metrics like margin requirement, margin exposure, pledged bonds, cash balance for each one of these hedge funds. And on the hedge fund side, they have to go through all of these different financial metrics and allocate capital where they need to, and take away excess capital where they have extra, which is all based on the unique terms and conditions for each one of these prime brokers. And that means for the hedge fund each day, someone in the firm has to go through the time-consuming process of sifting through all the fund emails, logging into all the different investment prime broker portals, downloading the relevant counterparty exposure documents, and extracting the relevant financial information from each one of them and moving them into an Excel sheet. And keep in mind, the PDFs and documents that they're downloading are password protected, unstructured PDFs. So there's no way for them to copy paste numbers from the PDF into an Excel sheet and do it in a timely and fast manner. So incredibly time consuming. And there's a bunch of fat finger mistakes made. Our current client that we have they were able to send over some historical Excels and counterparty exposure documents, and we were able to trace back some inconsistencies to fat finger mistakes. And basically, they had a full-time analyst spending more than half the day going through and collecting all these documents, extracting information, and creating these Excel sheets. And like, it's very hard to keep track of all these financial metrics across time when you have all the data spread across all these unstructured documents, Excel sheets, and it's very hard to like grasp where your company is sitting at. So also, in addition, there's also high margin costs, and of course, there's always suboptimal cash allocation. Inefficient cash management leads to high funds holding excess liquidity in low interest accounts. So currently, our competitors in the market, they have incredibly long development cycles and are very bloated. So all the investment managers for funds that we've talked to, they weren't able to find something within their budget that did exactly what they wanted without having a bunch of other bells and whistles or extra features. And so they turned to us, and we were able to build within 2 weeks a tailored treasury management platform that met all their needs and requirements. Me and Sinclair and 2 other engineers, and Sinclair will be giving a quick demo.
Hi guys, so sorry I can't make it. This is Sinclair, CEO and founder of Stag. I'm currently traveling, but I hope you guys enjoy the demo video. Hello, this is Stag, and we're a workflow automation tool for hedge fund treasury management, and we save hours of manual data entry for operations staff each day. And we're going to walk you through the demo of our product right now. So here is our main dashboard, and we can go through every fund. Right now, we can see they have no prime broker data received, and we'll be using Goldman Sachs as our example. And this is also reflected in document history. So right now, I'm going to simulate being a prime broker, and we're going to send 2 margin data PDFs to our fund client. All right, we'll send this email. And as that's loading, we can go to requirements and see how we have tracked data over time. So we can select Fund 5, go back to October, and see how all the sort of margin data has changed. And we can look at the 16th and all the days in the month for which we have that populated. And we can also sort of track this data and graph it through historical trends. And we can see how we've done this for counterparty exposure as well as margin excess. So now if we go back to document history, we see this should have loaded by now. Just give it a couple of seconds. Yeah, there we go. It's just come in. And this also should be reflected in the dashboard. Select Fund 5. And there we go. We've got the green check mark. So if we go back to document history, and we can now export this to Excel. Here we go. We've got it. And these 2 rows have been populated. Thank you for listening to our demo.
All right, so this was a process that an analyst had to go through at the firm 365 days a year for almost 150 pages of PDFs. So manually extracting each one of those pieces of data from a PDF and putting it into an Excel sheet and populating this entire Excel sheet. And you probably didn't see it, but there are like multiple different tabs. So very, very time consuming. So our market opportunity, we did some very quick calculations. There are currently 6,560 hedge funds around the world with under $1 billion in management. We chose this threshold because once hedge funds reach the $10 billion, $20 billion AUM mark, they usually have dedicated software and like operation teams that manage all these margin requirements. To get to our $300 million for serviceable addressable market, we had a 30% filter for like geographic constraints and also like the specific hedge funds that are trying to get these treasury management services. And assuming a 5% market penetration rate, we would have $15 million for our serviceable obtainable market. So in other words, the current industry AVC standard is $150,000. And that's like the current like market rate all these like treasury management services charge. So if we go with that and we have 100 clients, then our annual recurring revenue would be $15 million. In terms of traction, we have secured signed letters of intent from 3 hedge funds around the world, 2 in Europe and 1 in the US. And each of these represent a $55,000 annual commitment. So with our product roadmap, and if everything goes according to plan and it aligns with our different clients' needs, we're on track to hit $150,000 in annual recurring revenue by the end of next year. Currently, we're also in the talks with other like fund managers and prime brokers. This morning, we just got off a call with someone from BOFA, a managing director, and he was very interested in our product and wanted to connect us with other fund managers. Yep, thank you. So we're looking for people who are able to help mentor us in the financial services and SaaS sector, and like help develop our product out and probably connect us with some people in the industry. Thanks.
Time for some questions. Does anybody have one? Okay, Rohan, I'm gonna come over.
Congrats on all the early traction and those LOIs, Albert. I've also been talking to Sinclair, and seems like you guys have been doing some great work, and I'm really excited for you guys. But really curious what those sales cycles have been like, and how are you thinking about navigating it as you scale? Like, what does that process look like selling to hedge funds specifically?
So right now we're developing out our products. We're not like actively like emailing. We don't have like a relations team trying to like email other hedge funds to sell our product. We're still in the development phase. Right now for the three clients that we have been like partnered with the letters of interest, we've been able to like develop and meet all their like requirements in terms of software. But we want to see like other improvements to our current like pipeline before we start like going out to all these other hedge funds.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question on including those over Zoom?
I don't need a mic, that's fine. So it's amazing that you could do that in 2 weeks, but it also leads me to be concerned that any of these companies you pitch can get it done for themselves for 2 weeks and own the software. So how are you going to protect yourself from that?
Okay, for 2 weeks, we had 5 people working like 10 hours per day. So we put in a significant amount of time to like develop out this product. And that's like not including like the iterative, like, okay, we want this new feature, please add it. And that probably takes us like a couple more weeks down the line. So in total, the entire development process is probably around like half a year at this point. And like these hedge funds are like $1 billion under management. They can't really hire like multiple software engineers to try to recreate our product.
Wonderful.
To build on that question, is there a way that this product is more valuable to each hedge fund by them working with you than each individually having kind of their own version of it? I'm just wondering if there's other ways you guys, by aggregating data, you can give them more insight or more value in, phase 2, 3 of the product.
Yeah, so down the line, what we have planned for our pipeline is not only like collecting data from the documents and displaying for them on a dashboard, but giving them like interactive feedback on like which funds are performing poorly and compared to others and why, and looking at all the different financial metrics that we've collected off of like the PDFs, unstructured documents that we scraped. And then of course, like if we see like different trends across like multiple different companies, we can offer like better advice in terms of where to allocate their capital.
To follow up on Ron's question, what's to prevent some of the prime brokers, Goldman Sachs, for example, from putting out something that standardizes this? I mean, they've clearly got the horsepower to build it. For them to provide something like this to the smaller hedge funds?
Well, if you look at the like universe of prime brokers, there's probably around like 20 of them in the US and like probably like another 20 for each different country. So that'd mean like getting all of them to collectively agree on having a standardized industry like software format that they all like send to these individual hedge funds. But what we've seen is that no, all of these like different prime brokers, they have their own method of like sending these documents, and they have different names for like margin requirement, margin access. They have different ways of reporting to these companies, and these companies themselves, they have to have an expert on their side to be able to like understand all these documents and move the correct financial information into PDF.
Thank you so much, Albert. Can we all give him one more huge round of applause? Next up, we have Brain. Speaking about so much about Goldman Sachs, he's a former analyst there. And Claire, his co-founder, who's unfortunately not joining us today. They're building an AI teaching assistant toolkit to help professors save time and enhance student learning. Their pilot program at Harvey Mudd is underway, and they're being advised by the inventor of R. Let's give them a huge round of applause. And
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming in on a Friday afternoon to listen to all of us talk. I think it's really exciting to see the progress of my peers in this program. So a special shout out to the Claremont Accelerator as well. So yeah, my name is Jonathan Wise, and I'm a co-founder and lead developer of Brain Project. And today I'm representing a group of students, professors, and professionals who are all interested about the potential of AI in education. So we collectively believe that these technologies will revolutionize the way that students are learning in and out of the classroom. So let's see, out of all of our people here, especially the students, would you mind please raising your hand if you've used ChatGPT once this semester? Okay, it looks like we got most of our students and non-students as well. And so I think that overall it's a pretty great thing. Like we all have access to this now pretty much infinite amount of data and information. However, I would guess that a lot of the people who just raised your hand have also used AI to maybe replace your own thinking or learning, maybe especially in the classroom setting. And so we see that this is a problem because while there's massive potential for AI in education, there's also the potential for this to replace a lot of the learning, which we go to school for. So for the professor's brain, we're going to start by focusing on analytics related to students' progress in the classroom, highlighting learning gaps in individual students, as well at a larger kind of aggregate classroom level as well. And so on the student side, one benefit that they instantly get from this is being able to get feedback on short answer response or coding type questions. And in the future, we plan on using the analytics generated on the professor side to then further personalize course content, as well as further quiz questions to be able to get that understanding down. So right now, I'm currently working with a professor here at Claremont McKenna, and we have been piloting some of these different programs in his class, kind of ironing out a lot of the bugs in our application, as well as trying to advance the analytics that our AI has. And so coming up this next semester, we're going to start fresh for an entire semester pilot with a couple of his class totaling about 200 students. And so from there, we would like to continue to expand this to the rest of the classes in the department, other colleges here at Claremont, as well as other universities. And then we are also really excited about the potential to bring some of this to K through 12. You know, a lot of schools have requirements on standardized tests for students. And so in this case, you could imagine your benchmark for the AI maybe being a K through 12 students reading score or comprehension in math and sciences. And so I think that our team here is in a pretty great place to be developing a product for students, for professors. After all, pretty much everyone in this everyone in this room raised their hand having experience using AI in their day-to-day lives. As I mentioned, most of you guys are probably using it a little bit for school as well. And so we're in the opportunity here to be able to try out these products with actual students, get feedback from people, talk to professors about their concerns around AI in the classroom. And so, as I mentioned, we've been working with different professors here, advisors, and yeah, professors at other schools as well who have done different research and testing on the use of AI in classrooms. And pretty much across the board, it's been all really positive results. Although, so at the moment, I mean, we're just looking for more people who are also interested in this problem. And so if you're interested, feel free to get in touch with us. We're always looking for more developers, mentors, and especially connections or ideas on how we could potentially break into this K through 12 space. So yeah, that's us.
thank you, Johnny. We have time for questions. Or those of us joining on Zoom, feel free to unmute yourself and ask ahead.
Hi, really interesting. I wonder if you've thought about what distinguishes you from other startups trying to do this. Like, for example, Conmigo combining Khan Academy with OpenAI. I feel like they're doing something similar. What kind of distinguishes you from them?
Yeah, great question. So actually the founder of Khan Academy came to our campus a couple months ago and gave a really good talk that I unfortunately missed. But I did pretend to be a professor and go on his website and checked out a lot of the different products that they were starting to offer. And I would say it actually changed my perspective of how I was approaching the problem a little bit as well. So in the example of Conmigo, they're really focusing on products that save professors time. So for example, helping write report cards, letters of recommendations, and pretty much the first product that we're launching here with like the quizzes and the analytics was a much better version of a really shitty version of that Conmigo had. And so yeah, I think that especially the analytics is not something that I've seen on a lot of other sites. Seen a lot of people using AI tools for kind of like content course creation. So like if you need to, make a new quiz or make a new assessment, having AI help generate you in that sense, but not so much on kind of the other side with feedback and improvement there. Thank you.
Amazing. Does anybody have another question? If not, we can wrap this one up. Can we all give him a huge round of applause? Next up, we have Larry and Donnie from D-Lab. They're revolutionizing robotics with modular solutions that cut time to market and production costs. It'll make a lot more sense once they explain it, and they have stuff to demonstrate it. They've just secured their first client in the Netherlands, and whilst they'll officially join our second cohort of Claremont Accelerator next semester, we're excited to give them this opportunity to present again this today. Welcome, Larry and Donnie.
Good. Large language models, self-driving softwares, autonomous path planning. Softwares are moving at a lightning speed, but yet hardware is stuck in a slow motion. Companies are spending millions of dollars hiring mechanical engineering teams, using prototyping, reprototyping, manufacturing, instead of spending time on building the robots.
And my name is Larry. I'm a Pomona student. I've been passionate about building and designing stuff since I was little. And throughout my college years, I've built various stuff ranging from rocket engines to tracked vehicles.
My name is Donnie. I've been passionate about electronics since I was a kid. I went to Pomona, and now at Caltech, I'm changing the way robots are being built. At D-Lab, our D-Lab's first customer built autonomous driving systems. But yet, what we found out is they spend majority of their time working on the hardware, spending most of their funding time at working on the hardware. And yet, while there's pre-existing robotic hardware existing, they actually don't fit into the user's need. So let's say I want to build a track vehicle. You can simply buy a pre-built tank or pre-built robot. But yet, users have to adjust their algorithm to the specific need of that vehicle. But robots should work the other way around. The robot should adjust to the algorithm of the user, whoever is building it. And right now, it is costing people a lot of time, efficiency, and effort just to prototype any single robot.
And at D-Lab, we're building these modules for the robots just like Lego bricks. So companies could just buy these modules and put them together to suit any purpose they want. Instead of wasting so much precious time and energy into adjusting their hardware, they could be instead just innovating the software.
With our modular approach, we build modules like these Lego bricks. You simply snap it onto any robot. You piece them together, and there's a robot. Roboticists will be able to build robot faster than ever before at a fraction of the cost right now. And they will be able to make more custom robots for their needs rather than buying specific application robots. Whether it is using it for industrial purposes or using it for a highly complex driving system, our modules will be able to work seamlessly with softwares. You simply snap the modules together, you have a robot that works perfectly with your software. And right now, we're not just chasing after the $72 billion robotics market. We're doing more. Anyone with an idea who wants to build a robot will be able to build a robot with this. We want to chase the market that robotic can revolutionize. We want to enable people to build any robot they want faster, cheaper, and more efficient. And to achieve this vision, we are asking for $250,000 to achieve 3 main goals at this point: people, prototype, and product. We want to be able to have a fully finished out product, work with more clients, and be able to have a wider range of modules people can piece together into any robots they want. And I just want to thank Claremont Accelerator first for giving us the opportunity to talk. And we here at D-Lab want to empower people to build robots faster than ever before at a cheaper cost. Thank you.
So now we're going to open up the floor to some questions. And during that, could you guys show us the demonstration you provided, how it works?
Yeah. Oh, so for now, we just built 2 example modules that are really needed in the robotics market. So this is a 2-speed transmission that actually is all metal gears and stuff, and it fits any motor you want. This is just a skateboard motor, so you could really fit any motor you want. So why do we specifically started with this? Because first of all, this kind of 2-speed transmission for robot doesn't exist yet. You cannot buy it online. And also because a lot of robotics, especially for example, like track robots, they are not widely used because they're slow. This kind of transmissions allows them to have a high gear, like a high torque, low speed gear for traversing difficult terrain, and a fast gear on traversing flat ground. So, and also this is another our adaptation for specific truck robots, is that normally the truck robots, they use rubber tracks that are available on the market. But because rubber tracks are a fixed size, which also limits the size your robot can be. Our tracks are fully modular. You can make them any length you want to connecting pieces, and they're also made of nylon, so it's really light. Yeah, so these are 2 first example modules we built that we think will be very important in the immediate future, and we're planning to build more of these similar modules.
Thank you. So questions, guys. Also, those on Zoom, feel free. Fantastic. Ash, I'll come to you after.
I think a modularization is not a new idea. Like for example, like container ship, like it just boosts the efficiency of like carrying thing around by a lot. And also I'm just wondering like what is stopping the traditional producers to modularize their robots? And the second question is like if you actually build something good, how do you expect to compete with those more established producers since they have all the like production lines and like the knowledge in this field?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One of the thing about modularity that companies are not doing is modularity is hard. You can't find one module that fits into every robot. That's why we're starting small. We're starting with prototypes. We're starting with people who do VEX, who do FCC robotics. We want to be able to change the market slowly up. We're starting with people who are prototyping robots, not the existing robotic companies. Because existing robotic companies don't need modules. They build their own things. But startups, little startups that we're working with right now, they can't spend time building the modules. So we're starting with them. We're slowly changing the market of the way people build robots. Eventually, we want to be able to take over the market and standardize the way robots are being built. Right now, there's no standard. You just build whatever you want.
Thank you, Johnny. Next up, we have Asha.
Okay, so forgive me because I am not a robot person by any stretch, but it does strike me that different industries would have probably significantly different needs when it comes to robotics. And so I'm curious about where you think your first needs will be and how you're going to approach some form of standardization within a single vertical, perhaps, instead of saying standardizing all robots. And I'm also, you said that you have an early adopter. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about who that is and what their needs are, if that's informing where your kind of first market entry position might be.
Yeah, that's a really good question. What our adopters do outdoor navigation software specifically for the agriculture space. And that's where we are focusing right now. We're not building any robot right now. We're just building the chassis for robots. So the 2 companies that are building it right now, ClearPath and AgileX, they build existing chassis for like a tank chassis or a wheel chassis people usually buy. But the problem with them is like they're not customized for the specific need of the user. So we're changing that. we are working with people to customize their robots, building these modules, starting from robotic chassis. Sorry, what's your second question?
Where you said your first.
Yes, that's our first user right now. And majority of users we're talking to right now are within the agriculture space. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Can we give them a round of applause?
Great job, guys. Great job. Okay. Next we have Intern Hub. So if you guys want to make your way down, they're a team of Harvey Mudd students. And essentially what they're doing is they're helping students navigate the software engineering recruiting process.
Subscribe.
Is it that like Sick.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction and for the opportunity. So hi everyone, we're Intern Hub and our mission is to empower everyone to land a software engineering job. So to kind of introduce ourselves, I'm Serena, this is Tom, and we're joined by 4 amazing Harvey Mudd CS majors working on this project. And for some context, we're actually sponsored by both the Harvey Mudd CS department and the Hive, so very thankful to them. And we're actually working on this as part of our CS capstone project, which means we're dedicating more than 60 cumulative hours every single week to working on this project. So to kind of motivate why this was created in the first place, I wanted to show everyone this picture, which is actually from an intro to CS recruiting workshop that we held last year as part of the Harvey Mudd Society of Women Engineers Club. And so typically our events get a decent number of people, but this one had so many people that there weren't enough chairs and people were literally sitting on the ground. And so what that kind of showed us is that college students really need help applying for software engineering internships, especially when it comes to underrepresented groups in technology. And so this semester, we had the opportunity to dive much deeper into the problem. We started off by interviewing over 40 CS students who were interested in software engineering, as well as different career services offices, recruiters, and student workers in the career services offices. And from that feedback, we actually started offering resources to our students by opening up the opportunity for a newsletter and a mentorship program. And so we saw amazing statistics from these 2 programs, where 34% of the freshman class is subscribed to our newsletter, and over 24% of the freshman class expressed interest in this one-on-one mentoring program. And so what this was really showing us was that students are going out of their way to seek help in the CS internship recruiting process at a scale that is very difficult for individual mentors like us 6 to handle manually. And you might be wondering at this point, what about the Office of Career Services? Isn't that where people should be looking? And so as a result of a survey of students at Harvey Mudd, we actually found that only 13% of these students are going to the Office of Career Services for this kind of help. Because the computer science recruiting industry is so gamified and specific, the Office of Career Services is not well equipped to offer that kind of specific advice. And at this point, you might also have the question, what about all the other external resources and platforms out there? And yes, there's a ton of them out there. And the reason for that is because each of these platforms only address one part of the recruiting process. For example, you might use LeetCode to prepare for your technical interviews. You might use Simplify to find jobs with your job board, but none of these actually encompass the entire recruiting process, which we found was a problem for the students that we interviewed, because they were essentially saying either that they don't have time to look and find all these different resources, or once they actually know what exists out there, they don't know what the right combination of all of them is to actually form an effective recruiting process.
So what we're doing is creating Intern Hub, which is an all-in-one integrated platform for students and career services. So to show you the unique benefit that Intern Hub gives, let's maybe go through a quick example of how a student like Jane would use it. So Jane is a student who is interested in software engineering, but she doesn't know much. So she'll go through our intro lesson modules that teach her all about the software engineering industry and the kind of jobs she could do. So she goes through all these, and then after that, she goes through our job board and sees, okay, these are the kind of companies that I might be interested in applying to. So let's say she applies to Stripe. Intern Hub sees that she's applied to Stripe and goes through the list of alumni that in her school. We see Cynthia here is a software engineer at Stripe. So it hands her the LinkedIn profile of Cynthia, and she can make a coffee chat request, which she learned how to do through Intern Hub. And through that coffee chat, she gets a referral and a leg in the door for an interview at Stripe. So after that first coffee chat, a recruiter reached out to her, and in her email, it said, let's schedule an interview for 2 weeks. And so InternHub is able to automatically scrape that email and see, oh, you have an interview in 2 weeks, let's prepare for that. And so companies will typically ask the same kinds of questions in interviews. These are like technical questions, but also behavioral questions. They'll ask the same kinds. So InternHub will be able to recommend her a kind of daily regimen of problems to prepare for, specifically for Stripe, and make her the best prepared for the interview. So Jane is a very busy student, so she needs that constant reminder. And through our mentorship, we found that students need this kind of daily and constant reminder to do the consistent practice that you need to kind of land these really competitive internships. So InternHub makes sure to remind her to do her technicals, do her behavioral interviews, and continue like learning about the company to perform well in her interviews. And after all that hard work, she lands that internship. So from almost knowing nothing about the software engineering industry to landing a really hot internship, InternHub has guided her every step of the way. And so these are the main modules within InternHub that we identify as the most critical to student success, both through our interviews and our own personal experience landing internships. So data flows smoothly through all of these facets of our application in order to offer a really personalized experience for students recruiting for computer science. And so our customers are career services offices, because we want to also target students that might not have the resources to kind of pay for a personalized service like this. And so about 80% of students believe that career services should prepare them for a career that they love and enjoy. However, the statistics show that actually only 43% of students believe that career services currently do. So career services need specialized platforms like us to provide students what they really want out of their college. And this morning we had a really great meeting with Hazel Raja, who said after making sure that our application is IT compliant with them, they're willing to buy our product. And so what our timeline is right now, we just also pitched to Harvey Mudd College as well as CDO, and we are planning to pilot our fully completed MVP at HMC in December. And at the end of the next semester, we will have launched at HMC, and if there's enough traction, we're willing to take this to scale at full time. And so our ask, our contacts to universities, community colleges, and other career advancement sort of institutions to scale our outreach and potentially grab new customers. We want advice and feedback on how to sell to college administrators, because this is a bit different than selling to traditional businesses. And finally, we are asking for some funding to cover like the server costs, OpenAI credits for our kind of interviewing modules and other AI features, and additional research into like other markets we can capture. Yeah, thank you. We'll open it up for questions now. We highly encourage you guys to ask questions because our snacks are still on the way. I see one hand up there.
Cool. Hi. So, I mean, first off, great product. Totally wish I had it like 2 years ago. Yeah, it's just like overall super clean. You're totally right how it's like piece, and you sort of have to just do your homework or independently spend a bunch of time on like YouTube or Googling random stuff to actually piece the puzzle together. So love the idea. This year was a really brutal recruiting cycle, as this has been like the last 4 years, right? It seemed like timing for applications was hugely important. Like if you see a job listing 72 hours after it's posted, it's almost too late. A week or 2 weeks, and you can like basically forget about it, right? So making sure, it seems like for just getting the interview step, having people get their application in as soon as those listings are up seems like a almost necessary step. So 2 things. 1, how are you getting the job listings to your board? And 2, have you considered like an automatic application system? like some kind of like simplify integration if that's possible, or just like developing your own system to auto apply so you don't even have to like worry about students getting to that step.
Sure.
And also, again, like this is sick. So.
Thanks for the question. So we had a lot of discussions about this. We're specifically like targeting internships, and that's actually this really great API from like internlist.com that we would just use. We also have our like different sources we could get internship listings from. And yeah, so that's the kind of idea for the job board. And the other question was like the integration with Simplify, right? I think that's not under scope right now because Simplify just has a really great product for like auto applying. I think a better idea like for what we're trying to do right now would just be to like recommend students, hey, there's this really great thing you can use, Simplify, just install it in your browser. You can upload the resume that you created on InternHub to Simplify, and once you like click on the apply to job, it will like link to Simplify. Yeah, we're not trying to beat them at a game they're really good at.
Thanks.
Can you talk a little bit about how you expect what your revenue model is going to be? So are you just essentially selling this to the career advice parts of the college? And are there other sources of revenue that you could leverage?
I think yeah, our main focus is career service offices because we do want to like be able to we don't want to sell individual licenses because that way that we're kind of like it's kind of inequitable because what we're trying to do is also like kind of help students that are like very inexperienced, maybe come from backgrounds that are like not traditionally like represented in computer science to like land a job. So like our kind of revenue model, what we're thinking is like scaling it to based on the number of students at an institution. So like Harvey Mudd College, we have about like 1,000 students, maybe like half, a little less than half are like CS majors. They have like, they spend like $10,000, like $1,000 to $10,000 on like certain software. And I think for bigger institutions, we would be able to get like a lot more money from there. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's also the argument that like there will be students who want software engineering internships at schools that don't have like career services offices with big budgets or places that like prioritize computer science like platforms like this. And so obviously there's that conversation to be had. And there's always like there's definitely the possibility that individual licenses will be important when it comes to equity as well. So but yeah, just to put that out there.
Any more questions?
Sales cycles in edtech especially are notoriously hard, as I'm sure you guys have been experiencing over the last couple of months. But have you guys learned anything exciting about what that process has looked like? Any like methods that you've used to get any big wins recently?
I think I don't know if there's anything interesting, but yeah, it definitely follows like the fiscal year. And I think like one interesting thing is that, like for example, Harvey Mudd realized last year that they had like a ton of budget left, and so they were like essentially they just like latched onto this one resume review service, and they're like, okay, let's like spend money on this, and it was like multiple times the cost of their other platforms. And now like kind of talking to them, they sound like they're kind of regretting it. And so yeah, I don't know. It's like it kind of reminds us of how like our student clubs are run. It's like at the end of the year, you just like desperately try to spend your money. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's something that kind of, in a sense, like gave us hope because they spent like kind of exorbitant amounts of money on something that was just one module that we would want to include in like a platform that has a range of many modules. And so seeing how much they paid for just that one specific thing made both us and them like very happy to see that we were building something that had more things encompassed and not charging like kind of anywhere near that amount.
It seems like we have time for one more question.
I gotta speak. Are you thinking of adding any additional revenue streams from potentially like subscription services by locking away certain features or adding features or data integration?
I don't think we have any plans for that specifically. We could like there are like maybe more like expensive quote unquote expensive modules that to run like AA mock interviewers that couldn't maybe be like an additional revenue stream, we could like lock out all the modules, but like kind of the whole idea is like the whole ecosystem is like you kind of need it all to be able to prepare for an interview. So we wouldn't want to like lock any away. Thank you so much, Intern Hub team. So I have some great news. Our snacks and drinks are making their way from Trader Joe's. Last but not least, we have Exploravist. They are also being sponsored by the Hive and Harvey Matt's clinic program. They are an affordable AI-powered device for the visually impaired, and I'll let them share more about it. Please join me in welcoming them.
Hi, everyone. So we are the Exploravist clinic team, and we are run out of the engineering clinic side of Harvard College. So my name is Taylor. I'm a senior CS major, and I'm joined up here by Dom, a senior engineering major, and we have 4 other incredible people on our team who are computer scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs. And we have a great advisor from the engineering department and our wonderful liaison, Asha, from the Hive. So now that you know who we are, what problem are we trying to solve? Well, 295 million people worldwide live with moderate to severe visual impairments. And for these people, tasks that sighted individuals take for granted are out of reach. Imagine navigating a grocery store without being able to locate aisles, read the signs, or check product labels. And for this reason, among others, 75% of visually impaired individuals require full-time caregivers. Now, with technological advances in so many other areas, why can't they have a camera describe what's in front of them, or at the press of a button, have somebody take a picture and read it out to them? Well, part of it is technology, as new tech is recently getting smart enough and small enough, but a big part of this is actually the cost of the devices themselves. And in this regard, 50% of visually impaired individuals are unemployed. 27% of them live below the poverty line. And government or insurance support is minimal, providing $3,000 per person per year, while the cost is between $16,000 and $27,000. And since the caregivers are full-time, they're often unemployed. Now, there are some devices that have been coming out to help solve this problem, but they start at $2,500 a piece and increase from there. This leads to 99% of visually impaired individuals not being able to afford them. Now, there are some cheaper alternatives, like the Ray-Ban Meta, but they aren't actually built for people that are visually impaired, and so they're unintuitive or difficult to use. And from the user outreach that we've conducted, we've determined that even at $300, these glasses are still unaffordable for a large segment of the visually impaired community.
Okay, so that's where we come in. We're here to make accessibility more accessible. We developed an affordable, innovative device that empowers visually impaired individuals to navigate their lives more easily. So obviously, we're trying to make a consumer device. So at the forefront is obviously user research. So we partnered with the Hive to do some human-centered design research. Since even before our partnership started, we've been repeatedly going back to the Inland Empire Lighthouse for the Blind and basically iterating on our prototypes by getting feedback from actual blind people in the real world. And we actually just finished our 5th visit yesterday, and we worked with around 10 people and got a lot of feedback that we want to iterate on moving forward. We've also done a lot of outreach to the community in general. We've spoken with thought leaders and influencers within the visually impaired community to sort of get advice on our vision and also our product features. And so all of this feedback has led to our newest prototype. And right now what it does, it can answer verbal questions and also analyze photos. So our user interface is really, really simple. You can kind of see how we only have 2 buttons at the front. And this is based on feedback and user research that we've done, which is essentially shows that the vast majority of the visually impaired people in the world, and especially in the United States due to diabetes, are very elderly. And so they're going to have trouble with more complicated technological user interfaces. So we're keeping it very simple. So one button is just a simple AI assistant, right? You click a button, you speak and ask any question, and we send over that question to the ChatGPT API, and you get a response back. So just think Siri, but smarter, and it also has memory. And this in itself has a killer feature for blind people because a major issue in the visually impaired community is note-taking, right? If you want to write something down that you need to remember later, you can write it down, but you can't see it. And so this is just one of our features that's going to be really helpful, at least according to our users so far. And obviously we have our secondary button, which sort of covers the visual interface. So if you, with a quick tap of the second button, you're going to get a general description of what's in front of you. And this is basically the way it's described as optimized over a while. We've done a lot of sort of product engineering on that to really give the core information that visually impaired people really want out of what's in front of them. And then our other feature is if you click and hold that same button, you can ask an actual specific question about what's in front of you, and that text is sent along with the image to the ChatGPT API, and you can get really specific information. And another important part about this is this also possesses memory. So within a given user session, you refeed all of the previous requests back in to your newest request. And so if you've gotten a description but you want something more specific, you can ask a follow-up question. So you can move forward towards an object you're trying to find and say, wait, where is it again? Where is it in relation to my hand? Stuff like that. And so we have a video of our prototype in action, but we did not include it in our presentation on accident. So if you want to come up to us afterwards, we can show it to you. Or if you want to go on YouTube right now, you can look up Explore This Device Demo. If you search that exactly, it's the first video on YouTube. And so our responses right now take about 3.5 seconds. And that makes sure the device is pretty fast and intuitive. And our main selling point here is that it's extremely affordable. We're aiming for a price point for production, like unit completed, for $25 to $70 right now. And this makes it accessible to the actual, like 99% of visually impaired people in the world who can't afford these $4,000 devices. And so the question is, how is this possible, right? Our existing competitors are charging $2,000 for these things, and we're claiming to do the exact same thing for $20 to $70. And the answer is, like, basically cloud LLMs, right? If you went back 3 years ago and you wanted to do something like this, you would need to get a custom AI chip fab to do all this inference on the edge. But now, ever since the, advent of ChatGPT and other cloud APIs, we can get really good visual descriptions very quickly for fractions of a cent. Now what we're able to do is use a very cheap microcontroller that's less than a couple dollars, and recreate the same functionality just with internet connection.
So as far as a go-to market plan, we initially plan on going straight to consumers, like Warby Parker did for the mass eyeglass market, and others have done in different niche markets that are shown here. And we believe that by doing this, we can generate good margins and serve a much larger market with our $100 to $150 per unit device, which is significantly less than the $4,000 it was for the devices that currently exist, and even less than the $300 charged by Ray-Ban Meta. And more specifically, and probably more importantly, we believe that the majority of people that will use our product are members of a visually impaired community and or use complementary products. And therefore, we should have a very targeted audience. In this regard, we've already connected with a few organizations that support the visually impaired and several members of the visually impaired community who are thought leaders and influencers that can talk about their experiences on social media and their experiences with our team and our product. And like any young technology startup, we will need to differentiate ourselves against the larger and more established companies. And as this is a risk, we have 3 factors that make us unique and that will help us. First, by specializing on this market, we will establish relationships and trust within the community and with partner organizations. Also, because we are so narrow, we are hoping to focus on simplicity and usability. And finally, while there are players in the market, they're large and they have a broad series of products. And this market might not be beneficial to them, where it is for us, who is a small tech startup coming right out of Harvard Lab. And also, this could make us a great acquisition target later down the line as well. Now, while our main focus has been getting our prototype complete, we have a broader vision for the product long term. We want to keep working with our note taker alongside its visual functionality, and we would like to allow our device to connect to more local hosts, like a phone, to avoid complications if Wi-Fi cuts out. And we're also looking into new physical designs for the device to help improve its usability and intuitiveness with feedback from the visually impaired. And so because of this, we are seeking technical mentorship to further refine our device, connections to more organizations for testing and feedback, and advisors to help us scale and make a greater impact. And as you know, we're an academic clinic team, so the goal through the end of the year is just to create connections, test assumptions, and get and absorb feedback. At some point down the road, we might ask for capital to build out a number of first-generation units. But so because of that, we invite you to stay in touch and follow our progress. So when we are looking for funding, you know us and are able to understand our progress. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to invite the rest of the team to answer any questions.
Thank you so
much, Expertise team. We'll open it up for questions. As a reminder, please fill out the feedback forms we've shared with you. This feedback will be shared directly with each student founder.
Does this product require a cell phone or a chip to connect with a cellular network, or how are you managing the data services?
Yeah. Do you want to answer?
Yeah. Okay. So as of now, yes, it's required because we kind of use the mobile phone's connection to internet anywhere you are. So you can, like, right now we're relying on a hotspot. But something that we've been hearing from our user testing is that kind of a standalone product is probably wanted. So recently we been looking into how we can make this a standalone, not dependent on having a phone, because especially when you're marketing towards these lower income individuals, like even having a phone that can host a hotspot might be a limitation that we don't want to place on, our users.
Have you considered, it sounds like you have to press a button for it to activate the camera. Would it be possible to make this passive in the sense that, there's a step ahead of you, it warns you that you're walking into a wall? I think that might be really helpful for someone who's blind.
I could answer again. Yeah. We've thought about that. And we were thinking a lot as to whether or not we want to go into that field of like orientation and navigation. But in order to give reliable answers, kind of the price point of our product is going to go over what we want it to be. And if we're going to make that kind of product, we need to make sure it's reliable, and that comes at a cost that's over what we want to go for. And at the same time, there are other companies who are currently going after that problem at a higher price point. It also requires more approval processes, which is something that we don't want to go through right now. Yeah. Any questions over here?
Hello. More on the standalone product question. Do you expect as smaller models like Llama and Llama Vision become more capable and are oftentimes capable of running on the edge, that might be a potential place to be able to make it a integrated product without needing that internet connection?
I think as of right now, I don't think that's necessarily practical at the price point we're looking for, just because of the problem of battery life, right? Like even if you can run Llama on the edge, like users are still looking for like 8 hours of battery life. And so the weight of the battery that you would need to run that much processing constantly for 8 hours is not practical right now. But obviously models are getting lighter and lighter. That's a trend going on. So if it goes far enough, I think that's an option.
Yeah, we also have some people working on that, running local models on your mobile phone. Yeah, we have two potential directions, and the mobile phone is going to have a lot of processing power. So we're also looking into that as an option. But right now for this team here, one all-in-one is the direction. Thank you. We have time for one or two more questions.
Hey, if I already need my phone to use this device, what's stopping me from using ChatGPT's visual description features? I could just point my phone and ask for a description. I know it's different. It's maybe more steps involved to get there, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's a question we get a lot, and I think the main thing that like sort of revealed the need for a standalone device for us was just actually interacting with users, because blind people have a lot of trouble using phones because the way phones are designed, you're looking at a visual interface, and so actually getting out your phone and just putting in your password and navigating to different apps. If you've seen a blind person use a phone before, basically they're putting it up to their ear and they're tapping randomly at a bunch of different places, and it's playing out the location of their finger. And so in our first like site visit, we watched someone take maybe 40 seconds to get their phone out, unlock it, and navigate to an app that actually, like, because there are apps that do this, and navigate to one of those apps. And so this is kind of where we saw, I guess, our niche, where it's like you can get an instant response, and it's hands-free, and in your day-to-day life, you can like really quickly perform tasks without having to get out your phone and sort of try and navigate this interface that's not really built for you.
Thank you so much, Explorer's team. Lastly, we just wanted to thank you everyone for joining us today and supporting the hard work of all these startups. We really hope to see you again for our next demo day.
We would like to share a special thank you to Ron, Fred, Dr. Professor Filson, Cameron, and every single one of you for making it out today. This is just the beginning of a transformative shift we're planning to see at the Claremont colleges. So we hope you guys will stay in touch with our journey. We're ClaremontAccelerator.com. We are Claremont Accelerator on LinkedIn, on Instagram. We are so happy and excited to have hosted this demo day. And like you said, this is just the beginning of a new era.
Yeah, we're going to be sticking around. So there's food outside if you want to grab it, food and drinks. So if you want to, not yet. Well, okay, it's in the works.
2 minutes.
In 2 minutes. So if you want to stick around, it'd be great. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
You could bring your feedback forms to the front. That'd be amazing.
All right, so when do I get to use it? How is it going? Is it actually like
I'm working with Harlem. So
Oh God.
I'm like we have making progress. Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, you said there were support.
So that
Well done. The graphics were outstanding.
That's actually the end decided. We're trying hard to it looks very nice.
Yeah.
So we don't want to.
If there is an entrepreneurship seminar, that's like
That's
incredible.
a hard one.
Very clean.
Hard is very
clean
like
style.
that's very.
I mean, my question was, how does it get monetized?
Yeah, I'll let you know once.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I haven't asked. I just
Does he pay you? So where's he get his money? Oh, really? Okay. Oh, wow. Great.
But if you're persistent, yeah.
Sure. You can do that as well.